So the other day I dropped a video of the top 10 most expensive cards released this year in 2023. But it's been a year on. How are the cards doing from 2022? That is the real question. So let's go and find out. Alright guys, this is going to be an interesting one. Today we're going to be going through the top 10 most expensive cards released last year in 2022. I did a video in December last year of the top 10 most expensive cards released in 2022. I'm really intrigued at where they are, to be honest, compared to now. I actually think that a lot of the cards have gone down. Maybe some have gone up. Where are they now? So we'll be going through the top 10 most expensive cards from last year, this year, to see how well they have done in the Pokemon market. Okay, starting off at number 10, we have the Rayquaza Vmax from the Trainer Gallery. Now, as you can see, last year it was $46. This card has been dropping like crazy. It came in at number 10 of the last time we did this, and to be fair, it ain't doing very well, is it? We're looking at now $27, $28. So it's dropped from 46 to 27. That's not looking good. It's nearly dropped 50%. Overall, this is a beautiful card. A lot of stuff in Silver Tempest has been dropping like crazy. Now, let's take a look. We go back 6 months. In fact, we go back a year, right? We're talking about a year. We can see, there we go, 46 down to 27. This card's been dropping ever since. Now, this is Silver Tempest. This set has been recently reprinted, so a lot of the cards from the set will drop in price or have dropped in price. Probably will continue as well. Booster boxes have gotten really cheap as well. So overall, I think most things from Silver Tempest will continue to drop. I actually think it's quite interesting to see that this is a hard card to pull anyway, but it was a good one. There are amazing cards in Silver Tempest, but it has dropped a fair amount from last year. I'm in number 10 from last year. All right, coming number 9 from last year's video, we have the Pikachu Vmax from Lost Origin. As you can see, it was $49 last year, with it going down and bouncing back up. But this year, it has been going down ever since, sitting at basically $33. So from $50 down to $33, it's not looking good for this chunky boy. From Lost Origin recently got reprinted as well, just like Silver Tempest. Although the Lost Origin cards do hold better value, I wouldn't say it's just better or worse pull rates. So we go back past a year, and as we can see from here, so that's where it was at the 56 when I did that last video, basically around 50, and then it continued to drop. So it actually continued to go up when I did that video, and then a reprint happened, and then pretty much it. And I think another reprint happened around here as well. So, and I do think it will continue to drop. It'll be quite interesting. Tough card to pull though, but Lost Origin is a strong set overall. All right, coming in at number 8 last year, we had the Origin Form Dialga, which when I did it last year, it came in at $53. So this card has been dropping like crazy. Let's take a look now. So it was 53. We're looking at $25, $26. Holy smokes, over 50% this card has dropped over the past year. Astral Radiance hasn't really had a reprint. Not really. It's had a lot of stock, but not a lot of reprints. It's an interesting one. It's a set which kind of people, I think, just kind of forget about. I think that might help it in the long run. And I do feel like Astral Radiance could have good potential. As we can see, over the past year, this card's just been falling. It is my favorite card in the set. But unfortunately for this Dialga, it has been going crazy. I mean, from, 54, 55, and just dropping since. Again, we're looking at a lot of the sets in the Sword and Shield era of the card prices dropping. I would be surprised if any one of these cards has gone up in this list from last year, but I don't know. I'm doing this as we go, so I have no idea where these card values lie now compared to where they were last year. But it's interesting to see that this card has dropped by over 50%. Let's see if there's going to be any more big, massive swings in the rest of these cards, so let's get into it. Next up, we have the Origin Form Palkia. Last year it was $55, and as you can see now, guys, it is $28. Similar to Dialga, it is pretty much dropped nearly 50%. Not quite, although it has bounced back a little bit over the last 3 months. It did actually drop to as low as $22, which would be more than 50%, but it's done a bit of a bounce back. So let's take a look at this. Yeah, so it's rebounded a little bit over the past month or so, but this card, yeah, around $50, which is pretty good going, has dropped. And again, Astral Radiance, it's not a huge popular set, and the stock's still out there. Booster boxes are reasonably cheap. I doubt there's gonna be any more reprints though. We'll have to wait and see how these cards will perform going into 2024. Will they start to go on the uptick? I think now's a great time to pick up any of these cards. But yeah, this one has dropped a fair amount, similar to the Dialga. Next up, we have the Rainbow Charizard from Brilliant Stars. Last year, it was $80. That is absolutely crazy. This year, well, $64. And it has actually bounced up quite a bit in the past month, which is actually quite surprising because it was less than 50. So it's gone from less than 50 up to 65. That's actually pretty good going. I mean, it has dropped by about $15 over the year. So we go back a year. Wow. Yeah, this had a really big bounce back. I mean, yeah, as you can see here, it's been dropping. It did have a little bit of a spike there, and then it just continued to drop. So I don't know what's caused this recent spike. Maybe there's a deck that's come out that's got it in or something like that. But yeah, you know, the Rainbow Zard has actually done a pretty healthy bounce back, which is actually pretty good compared to, you know, what I thought of what it was anyway at 48. That's actually not bad. So yeah, it's dropped, you know, by around about $15 or so over the past year, which isn't as bad as I thought it would be. Then we have the Machampo Up from Astral Radiance. Last time when we looked at it, it was $120 a year ago. 120, big money, big money. We look at it now, a year later on, $82. Big oof. This card has dropped by over $40 in the past year. Let's take a look. So, you know, it stayed around that 100 to 120 for the longest time. And then pretty much since the summer this year, it's just fallen. It's just absolutely dropped, and I think it probably will. I mean, it's not the biggest favorite alt art out there. It is the most expensive card from Astral Radiance, of course, but Astral Radiance isn't a necessarily strong set. I think it'll be okay for the future, but right now it's just not doing very well. Again, it's another great card to pick up for your collection if you're missing this card, because I think the price is actually pretty decent because it has dropped a fair amount. But we'll have to wait and see how this card does next year. But overall, this card has dropped by $40 over the past 12 months. That is a pretty hefty drop. Seeing 120 last year was actually pretty good. Seeing around 80 now, not the greatest. Alright, we have another card fallen from grace, and that is the OR Aerodactyl. Last year was $128, and it was on the uptick last year. This year, though, $85. So this one's dropped by $40 as well over the past year. Over the past 3 months, this card has been going up and down and up and down, but mostly down. We go back over the past year, and yeah, I mean, we go back a year ago when I did the video. Yeah, it is dropped from 127. Didn't actually go up to as high as 130, and then has dropped since. So dropping over $40, similar to Machamp. Like I say, Lost Origin got reprinted, so that's why we're going to see a lot of these cards falling in price. Tough pull rates though. Still, we've never pulled this card. It is a beautiful card. It is my favorite card in the set, but it is dropping. I think now might be a good time for me to pick it up, to be honest. But it is overall a pretty decent card. Great for any collection. I'm a huge fan of Aerodactyl, and I'm a huge fan of the art. And Lost Origin is a good set. You know, booster boxes are bouncing back up from after the reprint. We'll have to wait and see how these big money arts will do in the future. A lot of them, though, in the Sword and Shield era have been victim to going down in price, and this is no exception. Coming into the top 3, we have the Orb Charizard. This was number 3 last year at $183. This card was a big ticket card last year. Now this year, though, not so much. Let's take a look. So we got $116 compared to that $183, guys. That is a huge drop. That's nearly a $70 drop. That is a pretty hefty. As we can see over the past year, look at this. And the thing is Brilliant Stars hasn't really had a reprint. It had a restock. You know, there's a lot of stock that was recalled and then redistributed back out again. And, you know, booster boxes have always been available. Booster boxes are going up. They're around about 150, close to 160 a box now. Brilliant Stars, in my opinion, is a very strong set. I've kind of fallen out of favor a little bit of Brilliant Stars. I still think it's a very, very good set. Now I probably wouldn't put it in my top 3. I think Lost Origin overtakes it, but only slightly. Very strong trainer gallery in Brilliant Stars. And, you know, you got 5 different Charizards in there. You got the Legendary Birds, your Evolutions, Arceus. Just so much stuff in the set. Good pull rates as well. But the big Charizard, which I thought would overtake the Moonbryon, has not. So that was a failed prediction right there. Hey, look. You know, I'd be interested to see if this card will drop any more. It did nearly go below 100, but it's just bounced back. So it'd be interesting to see where this card lies in a year's time. And then number 2 last year, we had the Lugia V Down from Silver Tempest. Last year it was $207. $207. This year, well, year on, $130. So this card has dropped over $70, nearly $80 in the past year. Big money card it was. Huge card. And yeah, it's been hit quite hard. Even over the last 3 months, it was like 145, 150, and it dropped to 116 and bounced back up a little bit, but still, it's not looking very good. So yeah, as you can see over the past year, and you know, you can see on this chart as well, 213, pretty strong, and yeah, it's dropped ever since. So this is a big money card. Silver Tempest, you know, is a good set. Loads of reprints. Tough card to pull. We've only ever pulled it once. Beautiful card, though. Hey, look. I'm a huge fan of Silver Tempest. I don't think the Silk Training Gallery is that great, but I do like the set overall. I think it's, Not the weakest, but I would say it's probably a bit better than Astral Radiance, definitely worse than Lost Origin, and definitely worse than Brilliant Stars, but still a strong set in the overall, Sword and Shield era. And the Lugia has taken a massive hit because of reprints as well. It's interesting to see where this big boy will lie in a year's time. I think this card will do very well in the future. I just think now it's just struggling like with everything else. And I think it will continue to struggle going into 2024, but we'll have to wait and see. And then at number 1, we have the Art Giratina from Lost Origin. Last year, as you can see, it was $270. This year, though, it is now $230, so it hasn't actually dropped as much as some of the other big money cards. We saw the Lugia nearly drop $80, Charizard basically $70, $80. We've seen some of the others drop $50. There's just so much card price drop in, and this one's actually holding somewhat of a good value. $230 is a lot of money for a card, like straight up, right? I think it's the second, maybe now the third most expensive card in the Sword and Shield era. This is an incredibly tough card to pull, like super tough. Even though this set has been reprinted, as you can see over the past 3 months, it was $280. It was $280 and it dropped down to $230. We go back over the past year. Now, when I did this video a year ago, it was $270, right? And it actually went up. It went up from $270 to as high as $330, and then has dropped over $100 over the past, not even a year, over the past, what, like 9 months? That is crazy. The fact it's dropped over $100 in the past 9 months is not very good at all, but it still is the most expensive card that came out of last year by a comfortable margin. Pretty much in fact, every single card in this list has gone down in price. Pretty much every single card in the Sword and Shield era, including the Moonbryon, has gone down in price. So it's interesting to see where the big boy Giratina will be going into 2024 and, this time next year. Will it continue to drop? Will it hold? I mean, I think it will bounce back. I think it's going to bounce back with a vengeance down the line. This is a very big card and a very special card for a lot of people. I do feel like, people are going to appreciate, in the future these arts, and this is definitely one of the biggest ones to appreciate. There you have it, guys. That is where all of the cards are a year on from last year. All of them have dropped in price. Now, we did look at the top 10 most expensive cards from this year, and they don't really compare very well. I mean, there was a lot of big money cards that were released last year compared to this year. This year we had the Charizard from 151 coming in at $120. We just looked at the Giratina being, over 200. We looked at the Lugia and the Charizard being around 200. Yes, they have now dropped a year later, but for the Charizard at 151 to be the most expensive at 120 is actually quite tough, But then again, we look at the other cards that are in this list from last year. Trainer Gallery cards, the Pikachu, you look at the Rayquaza, even the Alga and the Palkia. They're not huge big money cards. $40, $50. We have that already this year in the form of like the Iron Valiant. We got the Iono as well. You got the Roaring Moon. You got the 151 Charizard. You got the Blastoise, stuff like that. They're all holding good value, so they're actually doing pretty well. So it's actually, quite similar, although the cards are a lot higher back in the Sword and Shield era. They have dropped quite far, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, and that's definitely been the case this year in 2023. It's really interesting to see where they'll be next year. But if you made this far to the video, guys, and you've enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button and make sure to subscribe for more Pokemon content, and let me know your thoughts down below in the comments on these 10 cards. Do you have any of them? Are some of them your favorite? And how do you think these compare to the cards that were released this year? Do you think 2022 did better? Do you think 2023 did better? Let me know your thoughts, guys. It'd be really interesting to see. Me personally, I would say that 151 is going to do very well and carry a lot of the cards that came out this year, but I do feel like a lot of the Sword and Shield era cards will bounce back in the future, but I think it's going to take some time. But we did go through the top 10 most expensive cards from last year. If you haven't yet seen what cards from this year are the most expensive, then make sure to click the video on the screen right now. And if you watch more Pokemon content, guys, make sure to smash that subscribe button. We are so close to 10k. Let's get there, guys. Alright, that is it from me in this video. As always, you guys are the legends. I'll see you in the next one.